Hi everybody, welcome back to Hive Reads. Today we're going to finish our short story, 10 Rules for Being an Intergalactic Smuggler, the Successful Kind. This is a story by Holly Black, and it is from this anthology, Monstrous Affections, an anthology of beastly tales. So we've gone through rules 1 through 8 in hearing the story, and our narrator has escaped onto her uncle's smuggling ship, thinks they could become an intergalactic smuggling duo. But then the ship gets raided by space pirates, her uncle is killed, and she's hiding in the cargo hold with some cargo that they were transporting. Turns out this cargo is a monster of an alien called the Charkazak. She ends up releasing the Charkazak, thinking, we're all gonna die anyways. I might as well use this Charkazak as my weapon. But the Charkazak doesn't harm her. They actually share a conversation, and it seems like they is not going to kill our narrator. So we are on to rule number 9, which is the dead are a lot less trouble than the living. You look for the Charkazak in the cargo area, but you find dead bodies instead. They're lined up on the floor, the cold keeping them from decaying, but they're still a mess. 11 pirates, men and women, scarred and tough looking, and your uncle, all with their eyes open, staring at a nothing that's even bigger than space. Your uncle's shirt is blackened from blaster fire. They must have shot him soon after boarding. You lean down and take out his ID card from his pocket, running your finger over the hollow picture of him, the one where he's not horribly pale, the one where his lips aren't blue and his eyes aren't cloudy, the one where he isn't dead. You wanted to be just like him. You wanted to have adventures and see the universe. You didn't want to believe that there were rules. See where it got him, your mother would say. See where it got you. Leaning over his body, you close his eyes. I love you, you tell him, brushing his hair back from his face. I love you and all your hidden depths. On your way out, you can't help but notice how 9 of those 11 pirates died, though. They were sliced open, or stabbed through. One was missing a limb, as though it had been pulled clean off. You find the Charkazak in the cockpit, pressing buttons with those long, delicate fingers, his dagger-like feet balanced easily against the floor. He turns towards you swiftly, a blur of gray skin and gleaming black, his body hunched as if braced for flight. I made dinner, you say, heart pounding. He doesn't immediately respond. You watch as he slowly relaxes and wonder if, for a moment, he thought you were stupid enough to attack him. It's ready, but I can just bring you a plate if you're busy. You're stammering now. He touches the screen again, twice, quickly, then begins to unfurl toward you. I am honored by your hospitality, he says, and each time he speaks, you're startled, so much that he sounds almost human. We will eat together. You go through the hall, with you walking in front. You can hear him behind you. You can hear the clattering sound of his many feet. And you steel yourself not to look, because you're afraid that if you do, despite everything, you'll run. You'll scream. Rule number 10. Good food is universal. And it's universally true that you're not going to get any good food in space. In the galley, he manages to perch on the bench while you plate the goulash. He waits, watching. Finally, he says, I'm called Reth, which is odd because, of course, you knew he must have a name, but you'd never asked him for it. I'm Tara. Tara, he echoes, and then begins to eat, his long fingers making him seem like a mantis. You wait until you've pulled out the cheese and apple paste to ask him the question that's been haunting you. What are you going to do with me? He tilts his head, studying you. I know you're afraid. I even know why. You're silent, because of course you're scared, and of course he knows why. They caught me off the salty sea of Callisto, and I heard them talking while they processed me. I am on my way to be harvested for experiments and organs, just like the rest of my race. You study his strange face, those eyes, the grayish color of his skin, the tattooed marks that remind you of the stripes on a tiger, his high cheekbones, the sharp elegance of his features, which make him both almost human and very alien. You hear the anger in his voice, but he's got something to be angry about. I know what they say about my people. I know the rumors of savagery and horror. Not all of it is untrue, but the war, the reasons you have heard it was declared, those are lies. The interplanetary government wanted us to fight their wars, wanted our own government to sacrifice its children, and when the Charkazaks would not become a slave race, they decided to destroy us and engineer the army they desired from our flesh. He could be lying, but he doesn't sound like he's lying. He could be mistaken, but he doesn't sound like his knowledge is secondhand. I'm sorry, you say, because you can't imagine being hunted across the galaxy, whatever the reason. Reth shakes his head. No, don't say that, because I have become like your legends about my people. I can kill quickly and surely. And as for where I am taking the ship, I am completing the course that your uncle had set. I am planning on docking and destroying those scientists who would have cut me open and used my body for their experiments. I'm going to destroy their lab. I'm going to free whatever creatures are being tormented there. He slams down two of his fists on the table and seems startled by the action. He looks over at you with haunted eyes. He was trying to stop you from being scared, but he thinks he scared you worse. But he hasn't, really. He startled you. You never heard of any Charkazaks saving anyone, and the anger in his voice is righteous fury, not the desire for bloodshed. He might not sell you to anyone, you realize. He might not rip you apart, or even eat you. He might not even mean you any harm at all, despite being the scariest thing you've ever seen. You force yourself to reach across the table and touch his arm. His skin feels smooth, almost like leather. He tenses as your fingers brush up his arm, and then he goes entirely still. The dish you made is very good, he says suddenly, and you can hear in his voice a shy nervousness that fills you with a sudden power. I told you I knew how to work the cooking things, but all the food was unfamiliar. I ate one of the grain packages and found it entirely strange. I feel sure I was supposed to do something more to it, but I wasn't sure what. You keep your hand on his arm a moment more, fingers dragging over his skin, and his words gutter out. You wonder when the last time it was that someone touched him. Well, at least without anger. You wonder how lonely it's possible to become out in the void of space. The comm crackles at that moment, a voice booming from the speakers in the wall. Centurion ship Orion, hailing the Solaris. Are you there, Captain Lloyd? Reth's eyes narrow, and he rises, looming above you on those long black legs. I know what you're thinking, he says softly, and makes you try to imagine what it would be like to grow up with all the universe against you. But if they know I'm here, they will destroy your ship. They won't face me. They've heard the same stories you have. They'll kill us both to avoid facing me. Don't be afraid of silence, your uncle told you. Silence shows your strength. You know, it's not the nicest thing you've ever done, especially because you're pretty sure Reth's correct about the Centurion's likelihood of blowing up the ship rather than fighting him. But you make yourself stay quiet as the seconds tick by. Reth needs you to go to that comm, but you need things from him too. Promises. Please, he says again. If you want my help, you have to agree to my terms, you say. Agree that you'll teach me how to fly. We'll split the salvage profits from the pirate ship 50-50. We'll be partners. Partners, he echoes, as though he's trying out the word, as though he doesn't know what to do with it, as though you're giving him something instead of asking for something from him. Have a bottom line, your uncle told you. Sometimes to make a deal, you've got to walk away from a deal. But there isn't going to be any walking away this time. There's nowhere to walk to, not for either one of you. Agreed, he says, and the relief in his voice is enormous. You probably could have asked him for a lot more, and he would have agreed. You're even worse at this bargaining thing than you thought. And you have to agree that once we finish attacking the planet of the mad scientists, we'll take some actually profitable jobs, you amend, trying your best to sound tough, since I don't think we're going to get paid for the last one. The comm crackles again. Captain Lloyd, are you there? Please respond. Agreed, Tara, Reth says softly, like a vow. Rule number 11. One more for the road. There really are no rules. There are laws, and there's right and wrong, but those aren't rules. You make it up the best you can as you go along. You grin at Reth and go over to feed your uncle's ID into the comm. This is Captain Tara Lloyd of the Solaris, you say, once you get the right frequency. Captain David Lloyd, my uncle, is dead, and I have taken control of the ship. We were in distress, but you are a little late to be of much help, Orion. Reth watches you speak, smiling a fierce alien smile as you tell the Centurions to buzz off, swearing up and down that they don't need to board, and you don't need a tow. Finally, you agree to a small bribe, pull out your uncle's ID card, and wire the credits over. The whole thing reminds you of one of your uncle's stories. You hope it would have made him laugh. You hope it would have made him proud. You know you've been wrong a lot since you left home, but as you look out at the stars and the Charkazak begins to explain how the controls work, you begin to believe that you might still have a chance to become one half of the best smuggling duo of all time. The end. All right, thank you for listening to this story with me. We will have some more stories, of course, and book recommendations coming up. So we will see you next time. All right, bye.